This is your arc. Yah is magnified. Coming back with another informative video. I titled this video, um, California Testimony, re-uploaded. But before I tackle this subject, as always, I must state for the record, I'm not a lawyer, I do not practice law, and I do not pretend to. All my videos are for informational and educational purposes only. They're all facts and all truth. Nothing more, nothing less. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, so I have my Aqua on the phone. He want to explain to you all why we took down the first video. The floor is yours, my Aqua.
Oh, okay, thanks, Terry. Yeah, I just felt like there's still a little bit of too much personally identifying information, and so I wanted to redo the testimony or the video so that I felt comfortable about my privacy. And appreciate you, Terry, that you listened right away and took it down, and you're redoing it because you're a man of honor. Thank you very much for being a good guy.
Oh, you're welcome, my brother. You're welcome.
And so what kind of questions do you want me to talk about today?
Well, basically, you can just explain to him like what you've been through, in a nutshell. You don't have to go deep into detail, but explain to him like you did in the first video of what has taken place and the transactions that you had to overcome during your fight.
Okay, so basically, I started off with an attorney, and like everybody else, I was told get an attorney and everything like that, and I did that, and things just didn't go well. He was taking a bunch of money, and really, not too much results. And so I asked a lot of questions and got the runaround, and eventually just realized I'm just going to lose badly here. So, I better start doing some research. So I started doing research, went through a lot of websites, YouTube videos, and legal reference sites. And believe me, I spent a ton of time going through all this stuff, trying to figure out what's really going on. And I guess I'll just get to the court hearings. I had the court hearings I had this year. So I had actually 5 court hearings this year. 5. I thought it was 4, and it was actually 5. I forgot one. And since the beginning of the year. So I went through the first one with my attorney. That was the last time I had my attorney. And my attorney basically did everything the judge told him to do. Didn't object to anything, didn't try to represent me well or anything. And, I tried to speak up, and the judge shut me down and says I couldn't speak unless my attorney allowed me to. So I was like, what? I said, he's supposed to be for my representation, not as my lord or something. So, anyway, I found out that when I hire an attorney, I'm actually a ward of the court and incapable of representing myself. So that's kind of a funny thing. But basically, come down to it, I was hiring an attorney because I was too lazy and afraid to study some law. So I got to study. Now, in my second hearing, just before my second hearing, I ran across Terry's videos, your video site, and we're going through a bunch of your videos, and I recognized that, hey, you were explaining it in terms that I could understand as a layperson, and I felt comfortable with that. But I was kind of hesitant about putting out any donations to anybody since, my attorney had already shown what happens with any donations I make. So I was kind of skeptical, but I went in and scheduled a hearing with you, a phone consult with you. And after the consultation, I felt really comfortable with you. And I thought, well, you sound like, someone I can trust. And so I went ahead and made my donation. And immediately you sprang into gear and helped me to focus my thoughts and to help me to suggest what kind of paperwork I should put together so that I can put it into the court before I went to the court. So I did that, and when I went to the court for my second hearing, I stood on my square and basically shut down the whole forward process of the court. And the judge was very frustrated with me, and he continued everything until the next court date. And then that one I probably rejected about 10 times to moving forward. The third court hearing I went to was the judge tried to proceed again with contempt orders, and again I stood on my square and objected to moving forward, and everything was shut down. And again, he continued everything to the next court date, and this one I objected even more than the first time. Then my fourth court hearing, that was the one that I had 3 different times I stood before the judge in that day. So the first time in the morning, I started, I started my objections multiple times, and the judge said, you know what, we're going to move along, get some of these others before dealing with you. So he put me aside to the after break session. And after the break, I again came forward, stood on my square, and objected multiple times. And the judge basically overruled me and steamrolled over me. But I continued to object to any forward motion, and finally got so frustrated with me that he said, well, you know what, it's lunchtime. And if you don't change your tune after lunch, he said to me he was going to hold me in contempt and arrest me.
Right.
So that was the time I don't know if you remember, Terry, I called you like, I'm not so sure about this, man. He says he's going to hold me in contempt and arrest me. And you remember that call to you?
Yeah.
That panic call?
Yeah, you called me. He was like, man, he told me if I come back in there and do the same thing, then he gonna throw me in jail. I said, brother, if he had the power to throw you in jail, he would have been threw you in jail. I said, go back in there, do the same thing, and don't quit. Stand in your square and stand firm.
That's right. You told me to stand firm and man up and stand firm. I remember those words, man up and stand firm. So I went ahead and I was concerned, but I went back in there, and as I was entering into the courtroom after lunch, I'm looking at 6 police officers standing around all looking at me. And there was nobody else in the court, just me and myself and the police officers in the other party. And so while I was kind of a little concerned, very concerned at that moment, but I said, well, I'm just going to do what Terry told me. So again, the judge started speaking, and I again objected many times. And finally, the judge got really frustrated with me. And he basically just put the counts of contempt on the record, multiple counts of contempt on the record. And then he just got up and walked out. And I was shocked. I was like, what's going on here? And I was left looking at these 6 police officers and thinking, this doesn't look so good.
Right. Exactly.
I was thinking, what's going to happen here? So I asked, I just looked at them and said, well, what's next? And they told me that I had to leave and escorted me from the courtroom. And, I was like, okay, I can walk out of here. This is great. So my friend, my friend was with me. He was a 30-year veteran of the police force, and he was even shocked that I wasn't tased and arrested. He was kept on saying, "I'm shocked you're not tased and arrested." I said, "Well, I'm very happy you're walking out here on my own 2 feet. So let's not go there."
Exactly.
Oh, so that was a good feeling to get out of there without having anything happen. And then they had another hearing, the last hearing I went to, and this is the 5th hearing this year. And the judge dismissed some nonsense my ex was trying to file on me, and then he dealt with the multiple counts of contempt. So he started to do that, and I immediately stood on my square and my submitted paperwork, and the judge just looked at me, and then he said, "Well, I think I found something that he claimed to be a flaw in the court's paperwork, and that he was dismissing the multiple counts of contempt." And that I was free to go, and I don't have to come back for any more trials in the near future.
Right. So let me ask you, my brother, how are you taking care of your offspring?
Well, I'm telling you, I'm a fit father. I take care of my kids. I have 50-50 custody. I take care of my kids half the month. I support them in my living flesh and blood offspring on my own, the way I want to, and the way I can. I'm not rich, so I can't just give $1 million when they ask for it. It's just not possible. But I do support them, and I do take care of them, and I'm happy to do it in the privacy and my privacy without anybody else's interference.
My man, and that's all that matters. So, would you say the fight was worth it?
Yes, I'll tell you. If I didn't have you to help coach me along, Terry, I think I would have been floundering around. I wouldn't really have had focus and a clear mind on how to deal with this. Because when you're in court, you're like, you're wondering what to do. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so even though I studied my brains out and probably put 1,000 hours of studying all this, I still feel like I know a blip in the big scheme of things. And with your help, it really helped me to focus and I think that was a deciding factor. So, I know that making a donation for anyone, it's hard for everyone to trust anybody, but I found that I can trust you. I can. You've been there for me. You answer my phone calls, my texts when I've needed you, and and I believe you're a person that can be trusted by anyone. So I would recommend that anybody's on the edge, floundering around about should they go with you or not. I I think that they can't do better than you.
Oh my man, I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. All glory and honor to the Most High Yah. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you would like to say to the brothers before you go? I know you got things you have to do.
Well, all I can say is don't depend on attorneys. Find another way. They can't help you really to stand your square and do what needs to be done. And I can tell you that from my experience with Terry, he's definitely the man to go to. So uh, be strong because it is fearful. I mean, I was really afraid, and I was I was losing sleep just on fear alone. So I understand where they're coming from, but you got to be strong. You got to learn some law, and you got to be able to stand on your square. So follow up with Terry, and I think you'll do well.
My man, my man. Okay, so y'all heard it from him. If you all need my help, hit me up in my email at yahismagnified@gmail.com. That's all I'm gonna do for today. Oh yeah, and also spring break is coming up for my kids next week, so I will be with them all next week. So I will be taking limited phone calls all next week, and just because I have to spend time with them too, family first. So next week, guys, starting on the 13th until the week after that, keep everything brief with me until I come back, and from the spring break with my kids. Okay. So with that being said, I say shalom, my brother.
Shalom, my brother.
All right.